All right, we are about to rock and roll. Sophisticated EDM house track. Very cool. So let me open my chat. So before we get started, Lisa asked a good question. You could do several tracks with different percussion. Yes, and I think what you mean, and I'll answer. I think what you mean is like, yeah, different tracks. You could have like bongos. You could have um, bongos. You could have like a cajon. You could have a shaker. You could have a cymbal. So you could actually have like four or five percussion tracks. Um, but if a publisher is asking for drums and bass, then you condense them all down. You all the percussion, anything that the percussionist in the band would be playing, condense all that down as drums or so yeah.
And you know what? Because what happened was I was working on this piece and I had a bass in it, and somehow on my keyboard I converted it to piano by accident. So it was a piano bass part when the original top part is, the main part is piano. But it and then I realized, wow, I could do a bunch of different percussionistic or bass type sounds. Like you were saying, Jackie, like making it a cello or something to that nature and adding maybe, bongos or something else, in the percussion range to accentuate its beat and everything, depending on like the whole piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
so
There's
you do
there's
that.
so many options. So let's dive into this song. I don't know how many. I'm just going to do a recap anyway. So I don't know if anyone's watched the first video, but let's just jump it right in and we'll get rocking on this one. So share the sound. All right, so let me make sure everything's here. Okay, so this track is called the Sophisticated EDM House Track. So the tempo is 95 to 110. This one here is at 99. And the key, I should put the key up, was minor chord progressions work great. I actually went ahead and changed my chord progressions from this. This was one I pulled from a song that's charting on the charts, but I just couldn't get anything I liked. So I kind of changed it, but I still kept in the minor key. I think I started with C minor and then went to uh, an E flat major. Then I think I went to A flat, and then I went to a B flat. So I think those were my chords on this song. But if you watch the first one, you'll see. So these tracks are going to be 2.5 to 3 minutes. Now, if you've been, I know a lot of you guys follow me, but for anyone who's watching the replay, there's a scene in a TV show that I work with that does more sophisticated EDM house kind of music. And we're actually going to be doing, not today, but we might do a second part to this video where we actually do a vocal and I kind of we add a vocal or something and because this track you're going to see is ready for a vocalist. So this album here is going to be a little bit different where it's like we want a vocal, it's going to be a vocal thing, and not just for Star Music Publishing but for you guys to attempt this kind of thing and then just send it off to an EDM a vocalist or someone who does a lot of that house or the kind of pop stuff. So somebody to follow who does this amazingly is a guy called Ryan Bowes. Follow him. He does this to it amazingly. So what we're going to do is we're going to do four bars as an intro, 8 bars as a verse, another 8 bars as a verse or a pre-chorus-ish kind of thing, something just a little bit different, and then eight bars as a chorus, 8 bars as a post-chorus, like a tag thing. Then we go ahead and do it again, but we're actually going to add a vocal hook or a hook thing here as well. And we kind of do that. This is kind of the arrangement that gets used a lot. Now, of course, you can do two measures and 4 4 4. It doesn't have to. Usually they're even numbers, but whatever your track kind of feels right for. So another thing is it needs to be looped a lot. There's a lot of loops in this genre, so just keep that in mind. Lots of the bass and the pads get looped a lot. Electric guitars kind of pull in and out during the verses and then into the chorus. Slight changes during different parts. So you'll see in the first video how I kind of changed up parts just a little bit, and we're going to do a little bit of that and program the rest of the drums today, and then a first mix on it. So the vocals are buried in the mix a lot when you do your vocals. They're gonna need to really sound like an instrument and different phrases on the hook lyrics. So it's very different. This style is very different. It's not like a singer-songwriter. It's not a very traditional way you would write a song. So anyone who's a singer-songwriter, you do have to change your writing a little bit. And it's more about one big hook and just stretching out that hook or making that hook different. Like if the theme is we're better together, then you'd say in a different kind of rhythm kind of ways. Like it might be better together, together, better, together, better together. So you could have all these different kind of phrases and all this kind of thing, but you're saying lyrically, you're very just saying that one hook a lot in the song, and then it could be the verses could be just very basic or basically, maybe even one verse. You could even repeat this. One thing I've seen Ryan Bowes do, he might even repeat the same verse, exactly the same verse. He just does it again. So the song is actually doesn't really have, like you could call this a pre-chorus. Um, you could call it pre-chorus, and he kind of this part is pretty much exactly the same as this part, and with making that a pre-chorus. So anyway, let's dive in. I'll play you what I have so far, and you can kind of see it's already arranged, and you can kind of hear like these two parts here. I should just highlight this. This part here is kind of like the intro. Then we get to the next section, which would be, I'll just highlight these drums up here. The next section would be like the verse, and the next section would be like the next verse or pre-chorus. Then the next section is the chorus, which is a bit shorter. And then we go into back to the hook, but that's like a second chorus where it's maybe a bit more of a tagline kind of thing. And then I repeat the whole thing again. This is just a whole copy and paste of the next thing. And let's go ahead. I'll just show you what we got. And there's a few things from what I heard just a few minutes before I open up the call. There's a few things. There's a tropical house. I'll play it to you first, and I think it feels like it's in a different genre. This sound here. It's kind of a bit. I'd call it tropical house, and I don't feel like this scene would be very good with tropical. So that's the first thing I'm going to kind of change it. I like the sound, but I just think that it needs to be a bit more classy or a little bit more smoother or a little bit more just not tropical. So we'll play around with those sounds. Let's have a listen. This would be verse, obviously it drops out. So we're pretty much back to the not quite to the intro, but you get the idea. It repeats pretty much the whole thing through, and that's part of the process to have it looped. That's what kind of gives it this EDM sound, and it's not changing. It's very much the same. Now you can kind of hear this track here is what I technically kind of call boring because when you listen to it by itself, it needs something, right? And we've built this track for a vocalist to come in. And I've had a lot of people send me tracks in the past where it's so interesting that the music bed that I can't write a top line to it. I can't sing. There's no, it's already completed. There's no melody. There's so many melodies floating around. So in this one, it actually has a lot of room for that singer to go to town and just do whatever they want, and just it's so much more freedom. So this is a good music bed for a top line too. So if it feels like that, that's okay. That's okay. And you're supposed to have that top line. And a track like this, you wouldn't submit. I wouldn't mix it down and submit it as a an instrumental because it is technically a little bit more boring or it's a little bit more loopy. It needs a top line in there. It needs a singer. So that's what we're building this track for, and that's why it's 2.5 to 3 minutes long. This one here, we're pushing like looks like about 3 minutes, about 3:20. So we're getting a little bit on that long side, but I think it's okay. We might be able to cut this down later, um, as we get the singer in, or if I top line it myself, or we get another singer in. So let's have a listen to these are the different parts. I know there was a question here. Um, uh, can Candy work for this? Yes, you're going to see we're using the drum kit Candy by let's who's it by again? UJam or Beat UJam is the company beat maker. I use this kit. I like this kit a lot, and it really fits. It's easy to use, and it feels good, and it has great sounds already built in, and I like that the ease of use on a track like this. So let's. I am going to be programming drums here as we go because they're a bit straight. So let me see if I can move this. There we go. So then we got drums, and then I end up recording real bass because I just couldn't get the bass working that was in the box. I'm sure it could be really cool, and I think I'll have to spend the time. In the first video, you'll see that I kind of couldn't get something working, so it was a lot easier just to grab my bass and just put a few lines down that I liked. But we have here a like a pad thing. And that's by this UJam company again. I really like their stuff. It's really easy to use and it's really nice. And I think I bought one of their products once and I really liked it. And then when they went on sale and around Black Friday, they had a buy everything bundle for a few $100s or something. And I was like, yep, I like them all. So there's some stuff that I haven't even played with, but I end up liking a lot of their stuff. So they're a cool company. And so there's just a caramel warm pad, it says. I might have a look at a different sound there. And then this one here is the same thing. I just copied these two tracks down with exactly the same thing, these two tracks, but a different sound. And this one is Nexus. Again, for EDM, Nexus is really, really, really cool. They always have these new packs that come out, and you can buy these new packs for $50 or something like that, 50 or $60, and that this has a lot of great sounds right out of the box. So that's just those two sounds are really together. They're doing the same thing, but just different sounds. And then I have my intros. Or my hooks. Let's just give them a different color. So these hooks here are. That's the tropical house. So it says summer chords, arpeggio. That was the sound I went with that one. Yeah, I don't want that sound. So we're going to be changing that in a minute here. And this is what I used on this other one. And that says Tech Groove. I know it's a little small. Um, Tech Groove 2. Deep House is the pack, the expansion pack. And then I have like a little funky guitar thing. I didn't want to play it because I wanted to kind of keep it in the box, but I'm not so sure I'm sold on this guitar. But this is the guitar here. Pretty cool. I don't know. I don't know. I've got question marks on that one, so we'll see. But the first thing, let's go ahead and change. Lisa asked, "Are they out of contact?" No. I don't. I don't think I'm not using anything from Native Instruments contact here. These are different packs. But you have, I bet you, if you have Native Instruments contact, they might have some great sounds. These are some great sounds that you don't have to go out and buy. You might be able to find something else that works. you know, after a while, you just end up collecting these different virtual instruments. Nexus is excellent for EDM. This is an excellent pack for EDMs. It's a bit more on the expensive side, but it's really, really cool. But Logic and a lot of the programs there's some cool stuff out there. So you don't have to use this stuff. Don't let don't think you can't do it without these plugins or without these virtual instruments, because you can. There's tons of different ways, different products you can get. So let me just make sure these are routed to the right spots. I'm checking over here in the corner, and the drums, they all need to go to their bus groups. So bass needs to go to bass. It's one of the first things I do with mixing. These two are pads. They're going to go to my strings, that's where I have, that's a bus I have already set up. These are like hooks or intros. So I'm actually going to create I'm going to send them to something I'm not using, which is acoustic guitar. I'm not using this one. I'm going to rename acoustic guitar as hook. And I always do capitals on my subgroups so I know exactly where they are. We don't have electric. Well, we do have electric guitar actually. We don't have piano, so we'll get rid of piano. And let's go over here to the guitar. That needs to go to the guitar. And now that should be all set up through all these. I already have presets, or I already have this set up, which is, you know, on the drums, I have a little bit of compression going through. On the squash drums, which I'm not using, I probably won't use that, but I'll keep it available. And then on the bass, I already have an EQ that's ready to go. And then on the electric guitar, I already have an EQ ready to go, and my compressors. And then sometimes I might even have some of the lows dialed off, but it looks like I don't have anything in there. All right, let's change the sound. And I'm just simply going through like some lead sounds that I think might work. So let's do deep house progression. That's a cool sound for maybe one of the pads. I like this one, stab. All right, so it's doing something different. It sounds like a chord thing going. That's wrong. Something's wrong there. So it does say a chord, what type, and it's a chord. So I don't want a chord. I wish there was a. Go back and find that vintage sound. So I'm just going to copy this track down because this has the plugin on it. So I'm just going to copy this down, and oops, looks like they're attached. So I'll just copy this down here. Get rid of the music on there. I'm going to copy these pads because I really like that pad that I found by accident. It was called Vintage. I think it was a deep house and it was in Vintage. Maybe it was there, Vintage there. That's it. That's a really cool sound. Like that. Oh, that might be chord as well. Oh, something's happening on that one. It's set to chord, so the chord is playing something that I don't want it to. You might be able to go in there and change it. I haven't played with it enough to know. I don't want chord. I already have the chord in there, that's why. Let's get rid of it. Yeah, I'm still not sold on this guitar. So let's have a look at this guitar. I'm just gonna loop it here. So one thing I'm going to do, which is quite interesting, and I recommend it if you haven't done this before. But I don't hate the sound. I just not in love with it. So instead of changing the sound, sometimes it's easier just to just like copy a whole nother track down, copy everything down, mute this one that you don't love, but it's okay. So buried in the mix, that might be kind of cool. So now we can play with this one a lot. I like that a lot. I like this sound for maybe a chorus. So I'm actually going to add one more track down here, and I'm only going to do this on the chorus. So it's only going to come in on those chorus chords. So I like that sound a lot, actually. It was the mellow sequence. So now we're going to go back to this one. I think I'm going to go back to the one I think I kind of liked in the funk, and I think it said plastic funk. Now let's go back and program some drums. I still think I might add something in here. Maybe when we get to the chorus, maybe something a little higher. Doing something up high. Let's just copy this. This is going to be the chorus extras. So something up a little higher. Maybe an arpeggio, maybe a lead or something. All right, so these arpeggios already have a built-in arpeggios of different chords. I already have a chord in there, so I'm actually going to go and find the arpeggiator on this, in this, on this virtual instrument. So let's just find a sound that we like first. Let's go. So we don't want arpeggiator. Let's go to just the lead. We're looking for something high, something in the high, like a high frequency, a higher frequency. Take that one. It's a pad. Let's see if we can find the arpeggiator. They've changed everything in in this 5 update. It's got to be here somewhere. There it is. Up. Found some presets. Oh, we need it to loop. So it's doing something a little weird because these are all all these chords aren't connecting. So it might sound better if I make sure they're all connected. And the arpeggiator is working doing something weird. So I might go just to the root inversions of the chord. We got A sharp. Maybe too high. Yeah, I'm just not sure about that. It's not working how I want it to work. So I have to play around with it or just work out something else. Do. Might put a delay on it, so maybe something like that. Same thing. That's better. That's more what I was hearing in my head. Sure, once I get to know that program, I'll probably work it out exactly. Yeah, I had a wrong note in there. All right, so let's just add a little bit of delay. I could do it inside the box, but I'm just going to do it here, make it a little easier. That sounds great. I think that's exactly what we want. Cool. Okay, so let's program some drums. Um, so we're going to start with a hit. So a cymbal hit's going to play as we start. So at the moment, we all we have is a looped thing of um, just a hat. So just talking a little bit about the basics of programming drums, or if you were a drummer and you were playing this, you usually most of the time you'd probably start the song off with a cymbal. So it'd be like one, two, three, four, and you'd hit it with a cymbal, kind of gives it that. That's usually more of a standard kind of thing that you do, and you start with a kick, and so then that's why I'm just adding a cymbal because this was just a simple loop. So usually the snare or the clap is on the two and the four. If you're ever clapping at a concert or something, usually it's the two and the four. Um, so now I have an actual, we have on this, we have a snare here, which I'll play. Now we also above that on the grid, we have a clap. And then we also have the hats playing on there. There's a hat on the upbeat. Now, or it's actually more like it's a different kind of hat. We have a hat, a real hat kind of sound like that. This is more of a digital kind of thing. So whenever you have a hat or a hit that's on the upbeat is the eighth note. So it's like one, then this is the end. It's gonna have a beat like it feels like an upbeat, like it's gonna give a bit more of an up thing. That's why reggae has stuff on the upbeat. When you're playing, it's always on that upbeat, so it kind of gives it that kind of a bouncing feel. If I mute these, you're going to hear the difference. So I'll play this loop. That's a lot more straight, and then I'll unmute these. Oh, sorry, this is unmuted. So this is muted. So this is going to feel a lot more straight. And then with the upbeats, when I put them back in, unmute them, it's going to feel like it has a bit more of a bounce to it. Here we go. So it's good to remember if you want like an upbeat kind of thing, always add something on that upbeat. I'm actually okay with that. This is two measures going to go through. On the fourth measure, I am going to do like a little fill thing. So let's bring this out. I'm just going to put these together. So now we got a symbol here. This is the second. I know it says four, but we started on the two. So the four over here, when we get to this up to here, we're going to do an extra couple of snares just to give it a bit of a feel of something's moving. Not a clap. The simple da-da, probably that might work. So we're just going to have a listen from here. Yeah, it just totally feels like it's right. Now, I'm noticing a few of these are out of the grid. Every drum is a little bit different, but I one thing I do like to do is I love things super tight. So I'm actually going to quantize that all right now to make it sure it's dead tight. Cool. Now, these two hits that I just added, the velocity over here, default velocity, I've got set at 80. So they're both 80. I'm actually going to pull down the first one just a little bit, just down to 66. That's going to give this tiny little feel, like it's a little build, tiny build. I don't even know if you can kind of hear that. I can kind of hear it a tiny bit. This is without it or going back to the 80%. Now the 66 or whatever I just had it at, 66, it's going to sound like this. It's just a little bit more natural, the tiniest little thing. And I think I might, on the fourth measure, I might add just a tiny little something that happens. I don't want it to sound too live, so I got to be careful that I don't. It needs to sound looped because that's the genre. But let me maybe add something else in here. I'll move this hat. I like that one there. Maybe this one. So yeah, that's great. That's all I want to do for that. So what am I going to do? We're going to loop that because the symbol's going to hit again here. So I'm just going to delete these. And then that's the hook. And then we're going to do it again for the verse. I might take out the claps for the verses. So wherever these claps are, there's the claps. We're going to get rid of the claps for the verses. Maybe I'll bring this back down to the other part, just the. And there's there's an extra upbeat here, or this, it's like an extra hat. I might mute that and just make it really straight for those verses. And because it's the verse, I'm not going to add these extra snares. I'm not going to do a cymbal there either. Good, then we're back into the chorus. So I'm happy with that. except for there's an actual stop that I want to have here, nice little edit point. So I want to make sure I do a little fill into that. We're actually going to be stopping there, so I'm just going to delete those and do like maybe a snare fill into that. Oh, I might actually add another snare over here to kind of give it that build as we're going. Good, and we'll take a hat off. We don't really need a hat on there, just a kick. And then we're going to come in with a cymbal here, but what kind of fill? We might give this one a fill, or it's just those snares again. And then later on in the song, I'll change this fill up. So they have two different kind of fills. I might just leave it actual silent so they can do a nice clean cut. All right, cool. I think I like that. Cool. All right, we can get rid of that because we're just going to go back to the first. We're just going to go back to the first one that we had. The hook one. Copy that. All right, that fill, there's too many of that same fill, so I'm just going to change that one there, just that one in there. I don't think this is going to sound good, but let's listen. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, actually, I did that like that. So just a tiny little bit different fill. So now I should be able to just copy and paste all this and it'll have the exact same thing because this is where the song starts again with the intro. Let's check on the verse. Yep, and there should be a stop here. Great. All right, so now the very ending. Just add something a bit more fancier. A few more hats. Cool, and obviously that doesn't finish, so we need to copy this and just add one. I think at the very ending we'll have cymbal. We don't need a hat. And I don't like that I'm not sure I like that symbol at all. So I might actually just highlight the whole section, bring them all together, and just maybe see if there's another symbol there. I've been using that the whole way through, but I might use something different. So it sounds like the symbols actually, that's what's programmed into that kit. So let's just have a look at that kit here. Where is it? Here. So that symbol here, or the crash, That's the one I don't like. We can select that and we can change the crash. We can go, let's, oh, that's way better. Let's have a listen to that one. Yeah, that's great. Now I know that I was hearing a few, this bass wasn't kind of finishing tight. It's kind of like a, I might have to go back and add, um, do that note cleaner. That's all right. That's all right. I'm just going to copy that over here. Oh, got to make sure I'm on the grid. There we go. Snap to the grid. Good question. With this genre, would you use cymbal swells? Probably not a strong rise, but maybe a soft one. Yep, actually, yes, we should be using. I do want to do. I have a spot available for my one of my favorite reverse cymbals that I use a lot, but I was actually thinking of making a new one. So I definitely want to do some reverse cymbals. They always work well in so many songs. So I might let's do that now. So let's just go and create one. These are so easy to create. We're just going to add this out here. I'm just going to add that. And then this is really cool. You can just create another track, audio, stereo, um, reverse, and you just drag it down here. Creates an audio of that file. Really cool. And then we're just going to reverse it. I have it set up over here somewhere. There it is. Oops. Double it, and we're going to reverse it back. There it is. So there's always a crescendo and an attack. If you kind of see here, it kind of attacks, but the meat of the way the sound is actually a little bit further. So we're actually going to move this over. This will be a little softer because there's less attack. Let's see what that sounds like. Maybe a little bit too soft, actually. There's still like a part in there. I think it needs to be moving more over here. Still hearing some sort of that attack or something. That's better. Some reverb on that one. Whoops, not pitch correction. Yeah, it's a bit better. So I'm just going to consolidate that. Should be on the grid, so I can use that a few other times. Let's put one here. Let's put one over here before those choruses. We might do a stop as well. I want that reverb to the tail to go a lot longer, so the decays are a lot longer. Um, I don't want a high shuffle on it. All right, cool. I'm going to add one more drum kit here for just the choruses. So I'm adding the candy, but let's go with another one. Let's remove that. Let's go to, there's another one called, what's it called? Not Glory. I think Glory is a cool one. Same company, so it's going to look kind of very similar. It's a little bit different. It's got a guy with sunglasses. So I think there's some cool stuff. Oh, that's cool. That'd be great for the chorus. Good. I'll drop that out for the verse. That one's out of the wrong spot. Now, with this cymbal here, I do want a nice cut on this one, so I'm actually going to cut this in half. I know we put it together before, but we're going to cut it here, and we're going to see how this feels. Now, there's all that reverb, which we got to get rid of, so I'm just going to, here's a little cheat sheet or a cheat way to do it. Just copy that track down, move it down to here, because there's a tail of reverb on this sound that's going to go over this space where I want it to be really quiet. So we just go ahead and take it off on that track. Super quick and easy. And let's get rid of some of those guitars during that. We'll get rid of this one over here as well. Yeah, this is in the ballpark. So let's start heading towards a mix. again, there might be some sounds that I'm not 100% sure, but the great thing is that what I'll do is, we're right about the hour mark now that we've been working on it. So what I like to do, and if you've watched some of the other videos, you know exactly what I'm about to say. I want to bounce down, do a quick board mix or a quick mix of, like, I call it mix one, and we'll bounce it down and compress it to an MP3, and then tomorrow or the next time we look at it, we'll have a listen to the reference tracks, which you go to Ryan Bowe's stuff, have a listen to his stuff, and then come back to ours, and instantly we already know some of the things that don't fit, and then you just go back and adjust that. You do it a couple of times, and you really have a strong mix. And of course, this doesn't have to be mixed, so I probably would bounce this down now and then just double check it tomorrow before I send it off to a singer to top line, or before I top line it myself. So it doesn't, because it's not, when you put that vocal in there, things might change a little bit. Some sounds did work and then they didn't work, and then some things might, so there's a lot of things are going to change around with that vocal. So in this case, I'm just going to do a quick bounce now, check the levels and make sure things are in the right spots, and it's not too bassy or too heavy in the highs or something like that. But yeah, we really have a track that's really, I think, 90% there. And then of course, as we get the singer, then things might tweak a little bit. So let's actually, I might put that drum kit at the beginning as well. No, I think I'll let it come in that first time there. So let's have a look. Make sure everything's going to the right spots. Drums, 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 drums. Put all those the same color. Then we've got bass, going to the bass. I always like the LA2A on the bass. And then we've got these going to strings, these pads. I could pan these just a tiny bit. Get them out of the center a bit, but they are stereo already. All right, so let's double check. I just want to get some of these low frequencies out. It's always going to get in the way. So the bass, I want to keep that kick drum nice and punchy, so let's just do this. I just realized that I didn't have headphones on, so I hope this replay is not phasing everybody. If it is, gosh, I'm so sorry. Let's just yeah, I think I should have, let's put headphones on now, see if it gets any better. Is that better on the replay? I mean, that live? Or it's about the same? Okay. All right, so we're gonna get the lows out of everything except for the bass, for the kick drum. So in the first video, you guys will see that that I for some reason um, my Waves plugins weren't working, so that's why I've pulled these off, and so I got to put my mastering limiter back on, which is down here somewhere. Cool. Just a quick, absolutely super quick little bounce down thing. And we have a question up here. Do you, Jackie says, do you get top line ideas while writing the instrumental when you know you're sending it to a singer? Do you ever put some ideas down or just let that person do the writing? It's a good question. Most of the time, I do let them do their thing because I know as a singer, I like us. I don't. I like my own ideas first before. You could send two mixes. One is start here. If you've got no ideas or anything, I have a few ideas on this other mix. So don't let them hear that other mix unless they make sure that they know. But you could do that. But I I personally, when someone sends something to me, I love just uh, a clear piece of paper, like a fresh start, a clean slate, where it's just like, let's just go. These are my ideas. Um, than having other ideas put in. And the cool thing is, if you are a singer, save all your ideas for yourself. Like send it to someone else to sing, and then you have a brand new, fresh set of ideas that you would have never come up with coming from them. That's what I like to do. And then use all your own ideas yourself, or any. There's no right or wrong there. So that's a good question. All right, so let me bounce it down. Whenever I do bounce downs, I always make sure that I put this on the grid, and I always start maybe an eighth before. Some people start right on that first beat, and it's horrible. Yeah, so that right away that has a little cut on it. So I'm just going to get rid of any sound here. This is something I think I do with Pro Tools that it's a habit that I just do. And let's make sure that everything is lined up at the same spot. So this is like a marker. You can have markers up here. Many people do different markers. For me, that's what I want to do. That's kind of makes sense to me. So it just starts there. And if I have to come back to this mix and be like, let me bounce down, or somebody just wants just the drums or just the pads, I know where everything's bounced from. And then we do a fade here. And this bass is a little too loud here. This one has like an arpeggiated thing. And one of those guitars has a thing. Let's go in here. That's cool. Maybe I'll do a fa it doesn't matter. So we're going to come back with the vocals on this one. So we'll see if we don't like that rhythm going all the way through, if we want it just to be a tight ending or not. I think I would like it tight because they can cut that and they do that a lot. They cut it and they put it at the end of the scene according to what their scene is. So if there's got rhythm in it, it's a bit hard to cut. Oops. There's something fading there. But anyway, let's bounce this down. Let's call this uh, Society Music Bed #1. There we go. There we go. So now we bounce it down. So there you go. Awesome. Did anyone complete a track as well? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Sure, sure. Absolutely. No, I'm kidding. Well, cool, cool, guys. So who's going to attempt one of those? Yeah, yeah. Go for it. Go for it. You can't go wrong. And whenever you show up and you try something and you tweak stuff and you print something, you win. You absolutely win. You get this much better. So it's, yeah,
I'll definitely try it.
yeah.
We tried this in another course I was in, and I just kind of, I still wasn't used to using logic, and
Oh, yeah,
that makes a
yeah,
difference. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And one of the things too with EDM that I do that's different to acoustic stuff or more organic stuff is I layer everything. And if you watch when you watch the first video, you'll see I just layered everything. So everything that I pretty much would have, which I kind of think like we need drums, we need a bass, and the bass is a moving thing. Then we need some pads that are just kind of holding down the chords. Then we need maybe some higher hook kind of thing. So with those 4 or 5 elements, I'm thinking I need those parts. Then you just you change those sounds. It's almost like a sandwich or a salad. You need lettuce. Okay, are you gonna have a protein? Are you gonna, and you have this and this and this. There's like 5 things, and you're like, that's it. And then of course you can add the extra stuff of the bells and whistles, but you need like a sandwich, you need a piece of bread, you need another piece of bread. Got it. Okay, so we need something in, got it. And then we go sandwich. So thinking like that, that's how I kind of think, stack it all and then delete, like mute the stuff, and then we have it in. That's one of the main things I approach EDM stuff, and I do it the same every time. So the first part of the song has all the elements stacked up, and I'll question whether or not I want to save one of those elements for the first chorus or the last chorus, and you just go from there. But it's another way to think, which is yeah, it's important, I think. So awesome, guys. Well, I don't know if there's any last minute questions. I know been going for about an hour, and this one's a little bit different for anybody who's submitting for the album. So this kind of not going to be an album this uh, this month, but you all know, everybody here, and if you're watching the replay, I'm working with a publisher that needs lots of these songs. So that's where we're kind of like shaping this song for one of the publishers that I'm working with for the Society Club. So yeah.
I wanted to ask, I'd like to get an idea of what what you just created, what a vocal would sound like in that.
Yeah, we might do that next month. I might go ahead and do a vocal, and then I'll show you guys how I treat the vocals, and the ideas of what I have for this one for vocals. I might do that. I think that might help. And then you can kind of see. So maybe I'll piece these 2 videos together, and yeah, doing the vocal chops, just throwing some ideas, and you can't. There's many. Yeah, so maybe I'll do that. So we'll maybe continue that to next month's one as well. Would you guys like that? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. I had that in the back of my mind thinking maybe I'll do that. So maybe we'll head that way. So yeah.
it'll be helpful,
Yeah.
to, because I do know that, you kind of turn things down when you got the vocal, depending on what it is.
Yep. Yep.
To add to it.
Exactly. And these definitely kind of mix, the vocals are mixed a little bit lower in the middle. They're almost like an instrument, some delays, reverbs. And one of the hardest things as a singer-songwriter, you really have to put on a different hat. It's a real different hat. It's all about just hooks and phrases with effects and reverbs and stuff on it. And it's not really a song in my mind as a singer-songwriter, as a more of a pop, as a songwriter. It doesn't feel like a song. It's more of a hook thing, and yeah, it's just very, it's a different kind of thing to think about. And but yeah, let's go for it. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah. I'll go
Yeah.
listen to Ryan Bowe's stuff that you mentioned,
Yes,
and
yes,
hear what he does to get an idea.
yes. He's a guru, and they love him on the show. So this works perfect for him.
What show is it? Is it still Young and Restless
Yep.
or?
Young and Restless.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So they need
Very
tons of
cool.
this. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome, guys. Well, have a
Great.
great
Thank you.
afternoon, the rest of your weekend. I'll see you guys next weekend.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.